Welcome to Vensire Studios. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 3 different programs I primarily use for security and more control inside Windows 10. So let's get this started. Before we get into it, I just want to go over the previous video which I had done. That is the generic overview of many of the programs I use inside Windows 10. Several of them I'm covering in more in depth in this video here today. You can find that in the card in the corner or linked in the description below. And as always, any of the programs I am covering here, the description will also contain the links on where to go to download them. So with that out of the way, let's get a move on. So as always, I got myself cornered on down here, obviously, in this corner. Now, this is all running inside a VirtualBox, so it's a very basic installation of Windows 10 to focus primarily on what I want to be looking at. The first one we're going to be covering on here is SimpleWall, followed by BleachBit, and then CCleaner. This way you get to understand very early on what's going to be covered. Now, if you want to just skip to one of the other programs, they will have a time index in the description for you to be able to just jump around and get on over to them. I know YouTube's been starting to add a little chapter sections onto their progress bar as well, if you could say. I don't know if it's going to show up on here or not, but we'll see when I get this uploaded. Now, we're going to start with SimpleWall. It's very simple as the name itself implies. It's a firewall that you can get off of Github, and it's just so that you can control pretty much anything and everything that has access to internet on the system. Now you can see here I just have SimpleWall itself along with a couple of the Windows system functions just to allow it to go through. Now, what makes this a really nice program other than the generic response that it's a firewall is it does give you quite a bit of complex ways to specifically control of what has access to which different sections, but on top of it, it has a Windows block list to specifically go through and disable the telemetry that Microsoft has running back and forth from you to their systems, to basically look at whatever they're specifically trying to figure out on your system and what you're using it for. Obviously, you don't want to have them just poking around or doing stuff like that, or even on top of that, you just don't want the data being sent back and forth, taking up any network activity on your system. Block other things like extras, and also down here it has it right here showing that you can block Windows updates on top of it. So after you do your complete Windows deep loading and everything else, you can add another layer on top of it. If you don't want it to update, this will help you keep it from being able to update, unless you specifically, of course, want it to update. That is very important because you don't want the system just randomly using when to restart or things like that. I mean, defer update is on there for Group Policy Maker, or you can do it on Shutup 10. For Windows 10 Home, since you don't have access to the Group Policy Maker, but this makes it very nice and easy to simplistically set it all up to have a little more control in the system. I'll show you inside the Task Manager. This shouldn't have anything going on here for Ethernet specifically, especially since it's only these 3 things. You can see here it's at 100 kilobits per second and everything's just flatlined. There's nothing really being allowed through. Now they also, I believe I mentioned it, they have a highlighting system to help you figure things out on here. Red is invalid or missing programs themselves. System apps are light blue. Pico apps. Somebody could describe to me exactly what is a Pico app. I believe it's something to do with the Windows Store itself, but I would think that's just the Universal Windows Platform apps or something. Maybe it's both. Well, just let me know in the comment section below. But, then you can see if it has specific rules or whatnot. I can go on here, system, run a custom rule, put it here, and it'll just highlight it right below what's enabled above. So like here, the system has a specific rule to it. It can access full on HTTP. You could also just open this generically. I wouldn't. I would use it for the specific things that you want to allow through for that. Some things I've noticed, I use DTS Unbound on my main system, and I had to figure out certain things that I had to enable, like internet. I think it was Internet Explorer actually with HTTP to allow it to go through and enable the app properly. Why they do it that way, I don't know. But either or, I got it working again. It was a real pain in the butt just figuring out what firewall rule I specifically needed. But if you want full control of the system, pretty much for what's going in and out for traffic, this is simple enough, and SimpleWall seems to be the perfect little nifty tool that you can use. Now we're going to be going over BleachBit really quick. There's no real reason to do a, as far as I'm concerned, there's no real reason to do a massive coverage over it. Oh, come on. Open up and run it as administrator. There we go. As it probably will open up a second one. Yeah, this is you saw on SimpleWall that can't check for updates. I don't have that allowed. And simple way of describing BleachBit is it'll go through and clean your system out of files that you don't want, like cookies and such for internet browsers, even the systems like clipboard, memory dumps, and so forth. And it's a very nifty tool to use on here. I believe they have it also for maybe Mac OS. I know they have it for Linux as well, and that's a great, easy tool to use to get rid of any extra bloat and garbage that you may not need on your system, and sometimes you can clean out, you'd be surprised, several gigabytes worth of very, very quick and easy just by using this. There's not much else really to cover about BleachBit because it's very simplistic and it has a specific function what it's for, and that's just dumping garbage off of the system itself. So with that out of the way, we'll move on to, well, I guess you could say the final program on here, and that's CCleaner. And there's a reason why I left it on here. There are several reasons. First off, CCleaner, their parent company Paraform a number of years back was bought by Avast, and they did implement some telemetry tracking data from inside here, and that made this very controversial for anyone to use, and of course made quite a few people pretty pissed off. And I can't blame them for being really annoyed about that. Since that happened, supposedly they took it out. Yeah, it's up to you to take their word for it, but as you can see from on SimpleWall, I don't allow CCleaner to access the internet. Now, why would you want CCleaner over BleachBit? Well, obviously, as you can see here, you've got the generic cleaning capabilities that also BleachBit have. But that's just touching kind of the surface of the entire thing. Like, if you install Brave Browser, last I checked, BleachBit doesn't show Brave Browser on there for the list of things to be able to clean on out. CCleaner does. So there's some extra programs in there that CCleaner can see that BleachBit doesn't. But then there's also extra tools from inside here. And no access to the internet, software updater obviously doesn't work. This isn't talking about CCleaner itself for updating. This is talking about other software that you may have on your system that it finds that are out of date, that could have security vulnerabilities, and maybe you should update them. Again, that's up to you if you want to give this access to the internet. Now, under the uninstall section, you can see a number of things that are on here. If you go to Windows uninstall, no, I don't want that to have access to the internet, nor task host. Go away. Nor device senses. You can see how annoying Windows 10 can be, especially with the number of things that it wants to give access to the internet, like this here, again, SimpleWall. Make it easy for yourself and just get rid of it. Not SimpleWall. You get rid of access to programs on the internet that don't need access to it. You can see on just generic Windows uninstaller, a number of these things are missing. You can see here, there's the Microsoft Store. You go here, the Microsoft Store is right here. You can load it right on up. Now, mind you, I use the massive Windows 10 debloater. This one doesn't get rid of the Microsoft Store. I'll allow access for a minute. We refresh it, and, there you go. This has right on here, being able to remove the Microsoft Store. Now, I don't know if it completely removes it or somehow just completely disables it in some form or fashion. But just like that, Microsoft Store is gone. We'll look for it. Should show it on here. Last I remembered is it did show it on here. But yeah, this isn't even coming up on there. So maybe I should try and look for it in a different way, try to launch it via PowerShell, probably, to just absolutely make sure it's uninstalled. But it looks like on top of the general programs that are on your system, CCleaner actually gets rid of a bit more that may have been left on in here after a full debloat process on here. So if you got extra junk that you really just don't need and you just need bare minimum on here, you could use it just for that. And hell, if you don't want CCleaner on here, just wipe it out and use BleachBit from then on. But you can see this is only 10 gigabytes on this Windows 10 install after I debloated it from over 18. So this is as bare bones that I can think of that you can do, especially after a Windows install itself. I'll cover this specific debloater in a later video, but for now on, this just these here. I know I don't want to go to Terraform's website. Go away. No, go away. What are the options? Things they have in here. They have a drive wiper. If you don't have a solid state drive and you have a regular hard drive, and you want to wipe all the data on here, you can do it here. You could either do the free space or you could wipe the entire drive, and you could choose up to 35 passes to. But if you want to drive yourself insane and just listen to your hard drive going all the time and see if you can really stress test it and if it'll blow up on you, you could do that. It's got some analyzers to find files, duplicate file finder and such. So it does have some nice little things that are in here. They could set up the startup section here. It's, what is it? Control R, shell, startup. Am I right? Haha, I remembered something. I haven't done this in a while, but this is where you can put startup programs for yourself if you want to do it customly, or you could do it on here. I mean, they're not obviously enabled. You can't go in here and tell it to add more. So again, shell, colon, and startup. There you go. You just slap that in there, but that's neither here nor there. After updater, again, won't work. Regardless, uninstall it, but it has some extra little features on here that you can use to seemingly wipe out more junk out of your system that you potentially don't need. I've been pretty much rambling on now at this point with CCleaner and whatnot, and this, I'd have to say, pretty much concludes this video. So, SimpleWall, if you need some kind of generic firewall that gives you a lot of customization and control over whatever has access to the internet, obviously security for that, BleachBit to wipe out any temporary data that you don't need, along with CCleaner for that, and uninstalling things for some extra, maybe little features that you may want to control just what's on your system itself. Obviously, this is, like I stated, about security and being able to remove stuff. The whole thing about BleachBit and CCleaner on top of it leads more towards security, that if you may have been online looking at things or been on a site that has an ad that has a virus or whatnot, that's one of the very first lines of defense on, other than if you have your browser just wipe data when you close it on out. But you maybe do not necessarily do that, and this allows you to gain some of that control back in the system to keep things cleaner. Not just extra space on it, but to make sure nothing nefarious could potentially get through. Now, obviously, I didn't cover Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes is a pretty well-known security program itself. You could either use the advanced version, the purchase version, or use the free version. If you use that, then you could just have your system scan like once a week, or scan it if something feels a little bit off. But, like I said, stated, that thing's been covered pretty much to death. Just use it, and common sense, don't open to things that are weird or things like that online. But now, definitely, I'm rambling on. This would have to, I'd say, conclude this video. The next video I'm going to be going over is a massive Windows 10 debloater that you can use from inside Windows 10 itself and kind of nuke everything out of the system. Like I said, I went from 18 gigabytes down to 10. I have it installed on a laptop. I use it to, I use it to debloat one of my laptops, and I'm going to go over some of the real pros on this, obviously, for what it can do, and the cons overall from something I found out really early on when I did it on my main system that you could say kind of got me fuming, because you really don't have control over that one option. So, like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, as always, leave them in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed what you saw from the content here, hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you're notified when a new video goes live. And if you're already subscribed and things, then thank you for supporting the channel, and I hope you have a good day.